In this video, we're going to look at an introduction to ecology. We're going to talk about what ecology is, as well as define a few words that are used in ecology, such as an ecosystem, biotic and abiotic factors, look at the ecological address book, and define the terms niche and community. Firstly, ecology. Ecology is the study of ecosystems, and a person that studies ecosystems is called an ecologist. Ecosystems are what you get when the living and non-living things in an environment interact with each other. So an ecosystem is talking about the interdependence of these factors, and that interdependence means that some ecosystems can be very fragile. So for example, if you were to move one organism from the ecosystem, the whole thing could collapse. The difference between an ecosystem and an environment is the ecosystem is, as I said, the living and non-living things that interrelate with each other, whereas the environment is purely the area surrounding where an animal lives. So the ecosystems is more to do with relationships. And I've said the non-living and living components of the ecosystem are the things that we're looking at. Now, technically, we use the words abiotic and biotic, where abiotic factors are the non-living and biotic factors are the living components. And ecology is a branch of biology, biology being the study of living things. So that's one way to remember which ones are between abiotic and biotic. So biotic, biology, living. What I'm going to do now is look at the ecological address book. And this is a way of describing where an ecosystem is found, from very broad to very specific. Now, the most specific term here is biosphere, and it is any self-contained area. So, for example, the Earth. And this is all counted as the one area because all the different environments in and on the Earth interact with each other. We have mixing of water through the water cycle, as well as mixing of air in the atmosphere. So all of these environments can affect each other. The next smallest, or rather the next biggest, is the biogeographical region. And this is the area where your ecosystem is found, or the region in which it's found. And that region will depend on what type of animals, or generally what type of animals are found in this area. So for example, in the region Australia, we have much different organisms found than in, say, North America. The next level is the biome, and a biome is any area with similar abiotic features. So this could be a rainforest, a tundra, a marine environment. So this is an environment in which the organisms living in it need to be adapted to it, and they'll be similar or deal with similar stresses to organisms in other regions dealing with the same abiotic non-living features. So the creatures you'll find in an Australian rainforest will be somewhat similar to the creatures that you'll find in, say, a South American rainforest. There will be differences because of the biogeographical region, but they'll be similar because they have to deal with similar environment. The next level, becoming more and more specific, is the habitat. And the habitat is a specific area in the biome in which an organism lives. So for example, in a rainforest, this might be the tree in which an organism lives. Down from this, we get to the most specific space, which is the microhabitat. And the microhabitat is very, very specific and talks not just a tree, but it might look at the microhabitats are found in that tree. So one habitat would be under the layer of bark, another one would be up in the canopy, another one would be down underground in the root system. So all these are microhabitats, so very, very specific. The next word that we'll look at is niche, and a niche is the role that an organism performs in the ecosystem. So all organisms in the ecosystem, as I said before, depend on each other. So each organism has a role in that dependency. So some organisms, and in particular bacteria that live in the root nodules of plants, they fix nitrogen from the air. So they'll get nitrogen out of the air and turn it into nitrates that then the plant can absorb. So that's their niche. Another niche is detritivores, so things like worms and beetles, and their job is to get large things like dead leaves, dead logs, and break them down into very small nutrients that can be reabsorbed back into the soil and absorbed by plants again, so the process continues. So this is another niche. Some niches like these are very, very important in ecosystems. Other niches might be just providing food for another organism. Generally, plants' niche in an ecosystem is to harness energy from the sun to create sugars and grow, so to get energy from the sun into the ecosystem so that they can be eaten by other animals. And finally, a community is all of the organisms, plants and animals, in which another plant deals with and interacts with. So not all organisms interact with all the other organisms, but the ones that do interact with each other form the community within the ecosystem. So in this video, we've looked at a lot of definitions, a lot of new words. We've looked at ecology, being the study of ecosystems, and the scientist that studies ecology being an ecologist. We've looked at what an ecosystem is, which is the interactions between the living, biotic, and non-living, abiotic, components of an ecosystem. We've looked at how that is different from the environment, which is just the area in which something lives and the things that are surrounding it. We've looked at the Ecological address book, starting at biosphere, then biogeographical region, biome, habitat, and microhabitat. We've looked at the niche being an organism's role within the ecosystem, and we've looked at communities of organisms that interact with each other.